In the previous session, we were discussing about minerals which are inorganic substances required in less quantity for various body functions like maintenance, repair, regulation of our body. And today we are going to discuss each of these minerals in detail, starting with the major minerals or macro minerals. And in that, we are going to take up calcium. So today we will discuss calcium and its related importance, requirement, function, and deficiency. The calcium, which is designated as Ca, and it is the most abundant mineral in the body, and the total content of calcium in the body is 1 to 1.5 kg, and 99% of this calcium is present in bones and teeth and rest in extracellular fluid, and the normal calcium level in the body is 9 to 11 mg per 100 ml of blood. This is about calcium profile. Coming to the dietary sources of calcium, the calcium is present in milk and milk products in rich quantity, along with egg, fish, mutton, vegetables are good sources of calcium. Ragi is a good source of calcium, and also millets such as bajra is also rich in calcium. Coming to the required dietary allowance, the RDA, the calcium is about 0.4 grams required for adults per day, and in children 0.6 gram per day. The children require more calcium since they are at the stage of growth and development, and also in special condition 1 gram extra is required per day. This is about recommended dietary allowance of calcium. Calcium is absorbed from the duodenum against the concentration gradient with the help of a protein called as calcium binding protein, as the name itself indicating calcium binding, which helps in the binding the calcium and transportation or absorption and transportation. The factors facilitating calcium absorption, for a better absorption of calcium that is obtained from the diet, these factors are very important. Not just by taking the calcium containing food, they should be absorbed by the body and utilized by the body. For that, these factors are very useful. Calcitriol, active form of vitamin D, facilitates the absorption of calcium, and parathyroid hormone indirectly stimulates the calcium absorption. Lactose also facilitates the absorption of calcium. Amino acid lysine and arginine facilitates or helps in calcium absorption. Gastric acidity helps in favors the calcium absorption. So these factors helpful in the absorption of calcium from the intestine and duodenum. Coming to the function of calcium, calcium, which is a major mineral or macro mineral, very important mineral. It is required by the body for various functions, and few of the functions that we are going to study are: one is bone and teeth formation. Calcium is required for the formation of bones and teeth as a structural component, and calcium gives hardness and strength to the tissues, and hence it is a very important mineral in formation of bones and teeth. Blood coagulation, calcium is one of the factor in the blood coagulation, helps in the clotting of the blood during wound. Muscle contraction, calcium is required for the excitation and contraction of muscle fibers. So muscle activity requires calcium. Transmission of nerve impulse, calcium is required for the transmission of nerve impulse in the synapses, and hence involved in the nerve physiology. Neuromuscular excitability, calcium decreases neuromuscular excitability. So these are few functions of calcium. Along with hormone action, calcium also acts as hormone, as a secondary messenger. Example, glucagon, adrenaline, and vasopressin, they utilize calcium. And the release of hormones, calcium is required for the release of some hormones such as insulin, parathyroid hormone, calcitonin, and others from their storage areas or vesicles. So coming to the calcium homeostasis, The 9 to 11 mg per deciliter is the normal calcium level, as you can see, and this level should be maintained in the normal quantity in the blood. For that, several factors are involved to maintain the calcium level, and few of them are vitamin D, parathyroid hormone, and calcitonin. The vitamin D, which is a hypercalcemic effect compound, it increases the blood calcium level, and it has three major independent sites of action: intestine, kidney, and bones. In the intestine, calcitriol induces the synthesis of calcium protein, that is calcium binding protein, in the intestinal mucosa, which increases absorption of calcium and blood calcium level. And intestine helps in the absorption, whereas kidney, the parathyroid hormone, helps in the reabsorption of calcium, because one of the process of kidney is the tubular reabsorption, in that calcium is reabsorbed. And in the bones, the vitamin D helps in the osteoblastic activity, depositing the calcium in the bones and promotes calcification of bones, which is also called as resorption process. So from the intestine, calcium is absorbed with the help of calcitriol, and calcium is reabsorbed from the kidney from parathyroid hormone, and it is deposited in the bones. Coming to the parathyroid hormone, it is a hypercalcemic hormone, and it also acts in three sites in intestine. It stimulates the production of calcitriol, which in turn helps in the absorption of calcium, whereas in kidney it helps in the calcium reabsorption, very much similar as we have discussed just now. And also in bones, it helps in the in bones, it helps in the demineralization process, and resulting in the increased blood calcium level. So that means it removes the calcium from the bones and maintains the calcium level in the blood. So calcium is removed from the bone means bones will become weak, because it is removing to maintain the calcium level in the blood during deficiency condition. So the deficiency of calcium in children causes various type of problems like impaired growth, negative calcium balance, and osteoporosis, whereas in adults it causes osteoporosis. Coming to the calcitonin, calcitonin is also one of the hormone, hypocalcemic hormone, which decreases the blood calcium level. Whenever the calcium level is increased, it is decreased by calcitonin. In kidney, it inhibits the calcium reabsorption. So reabsorption stops means calcium adding to the blood will reduce, and in bones it inhibits the bone resorption, that means taking up of the calcium from the bones, and hence the blood which contains calcium is taken up by the bones, and thereby decreases the calcium in the bones. So this is hypocalcemia. Hypocalcemia means decreased calcium level in the blood. When the definition, you can see where the plasma calcium level is below 9 mg per deciliter. You can see the last line. The symptoms includes emotional irritability, tightness, spasm of the muscle, and convulsions. So this is definition and symptoms. You can just go through it. And then hypercalcemia means normal is 9 to 11, more than 11 mg per deciliter calcium level is called as hypercalcemia. And you can see the symptoms: renal calculi, bone deformities, and ectopic calcification, renal tissues in urinary bladders, anorexia, or the conditions of hypercalcemia. So thank you very much.